the MC merged with Flynn. Who do we see here? Ares wasn't created by Dillinger. After the release of the first Tron in July 1982, which showcased the titanic work done on special effects, drawing almost every single frame. But not so much on the plot itself. Nevertheless, it became the first film to depict artificial intelligence on screen and teased elements like the modern office desk. The movie was ranked among other cult classics like E.T. and Blade Runner. Then, 28 years later, in December 2010, the sequel Tron Legacy hit the screens, directed by Joseph Kosinski. He generally seems to like returning to old projects after many years. This installment managed to preserve the visual legacy of the original, vastly improving upon it with 21st century technology, although it still lost the Oscar to Christopher Nolan's Inception, just like the original. However, it wasn't even nominated because filmmakers were seen as cheating by relying too heavily on computers. In addition to the visuals, there's of course the soundtrack by the French electronic duo Daft Punk, who were deeply inspired by the first film. What also struck me was the father-son relationship, which was well woven into narrative, along with the storyline of Kevin and Clue and their pursuit of perfection. That's why the film ranks as my second favorite of all time, just behind Skyfall. Unfortunately, the box office and critics didn't agree, which forced Kosinski and Jared Leto, along with the rest of the cast, to put development of the third part on ice. This was also due to Disney's acquisition of Star Wars and Marvel, as the studio wanted to focus more on those franchises. But in 2020, things finally started moving again, with a title and Jared Leto's participation announced. In December 2021, photos leaked from early shoots showing the iconic arcade room, and a year later the studio officially confirmed the film's release. Then the strike happened, pushing the movie onward on 5 months. And now the film is finally arriving in our theaters this October. Well, I hope I didn't drag out the intro too much. Whatever, let's get started. From the opening shot of the trailer, we're immediately plunged into the movie's core theme: programs invading the real world. Something Clue was trying to do in Legacy to erase what he saw as imperfections. The idea of them crossing over has been in the writers' minds since 2011. I must say, it looks absolutely thrilling.
Fascinating.
Passing through a crowd of spectators, we see a ship called the Recognizer flying near Encom headquarters, where we find Gillian Anderson's character, known for the X-Files and The Crown, likely replacing Alan Bradley as the company's director. He'll probably only appear in a cameo, but more on that later. Throughout this opening sequence, we hear the voice of Julian Dillinger, the son of Edward Dillinger from the first Tron. By the way, we saw his brother in Legacy, named Edward Dillinger Journey, played by Cillian Murphy, also hinted to be a villain. So Julian says,
"Since time began, man has gazed at the stars and he has wondered, am I alone?"
This part reminded me of the intro to Pacific Rim by Guillermo del Toro.
When I was a kid, whenever I'd feel small or lonely, I'd look up at the stars. Wondered if there was life up there. Turns out I was looking in the wrong direction. When alien life entered our world, it was from deep beneath the Pacific Ocean.
Which brings us to Flynn's monologue from the sequel.
History, science, philosophy, every idea man has ever had about the universe up for grabs. Biodigital jazz, man.
The films actually share a lot of similar stuff. Next we're shown the iconic company logo, only now it's glowing red. That's the moment you realize Tron is truly back. Julian keeps speaking, mentioning how much discussion there is nowadays about AI, clearly connecting our real world. We see a server room that resembles Encom's, where Sam once broke in. Apparently this is where Dillinger's system is moving. Or maybe not quite his system. Let's rewind 15 years. After Sam and Quora returned from the digital realm, Sam was supposed to fulfill his father's dream of sharing the knowledge of the isomorphs with the world. But according to Dillinger's words, that didn't happen.
Virtual worlds, what are they gonna look like when we get there?
So after Clue's destruction caused the system to collapse, the remaining programs rebuilt it without a creator. And one perfect day, a group led by Ares took control of it. But who is generally Ares? At the D23 event, Jared Leto said,
I play Ares Master Control the Dillinger Grid.
It's unfortunately unclear whether he meant the program controlled by Master Control from the first film, or maybe a peculiar new Master Control of its system controlled by this Dillinger. I personally think it's not even Peter's character behind it all. There's a strong sense he redeemed himself by the end, unlike his brother, which wouldn't be possible if he carried that kind of burden. I suspect an unknown figure played by Jeff Bridges, possibly the Master Control or a fragment of him. When Ares is asked about life, he's told,
Ready? Because there's no going back.
That doesn't sound like the original MC, who'd probably just shout,
Get out.
and do it. Another clue that Ares wasn't created by Dillinger, besides the red hue, it's his name, Ares. Inspired by the Greek god of war, doesn't seem like something he'd choose. So it seems the plot about hijacking Flynn's system partly mirrors the first film, where his father also stole Kevin's game, Space Paranoids. So how did Master Control survive? Let's rewatch the scene where he was destroyed in the original. As Flynn jumps into the beam, it turns purple, perhaps suggesting the MC or part of it merged with Flynn, and remained inside him all those years. When he sacrificed himself at the end of Legacy, that entity was freed, leading to the chaos now unfolding. That's probably the best way to tie him back in. Julian then discovers the program and tries to rewrite it a little bit, offering an immortal army to the military and bringing them into the real world, with help from Greta Lee's character, Eve Kim, as the actress herself confirmed at the same event. She also voiced Lila in Across the Spider-Verse. Programs enter the real world through emerging matter, reminiscent of the disintegration effect from the first trailer. In one scene, as Ares stares at the commanders, we see a countdown in the right corner above, with a title timed to the resolution. Not to erase them, but to erase himself, for Dillinger's presentation. One intriguing moment that raises questions: Ares watching childhood recordings. Is he remembering something of his own? Is he like Bloodshot? Or does this simply illustrate his struggle to grasp human emotions? By the end of the story, having discovered how valuable the human life is, like a Terminator, he switches sides, as we see him escaping on a bike with Eve Kim. Note how her character is illuminated in white, not blue stripes, just like Sam in the second film, indicating she's a user. How strangely Clue didn't immediately realize who Sam was. Also, the design of Seth and Flynn's sanctuary mirrors the original film exactly. And he even has some kind of Stark reactor. What a scoundrel! All this time, 9 Inch Nails plays in the background, replacing Daft Punk for this film's soundtrack. This is the first track they released, launched on their channel simultaneously with the trailer. And now it's finally time to talk about the return of old characters. The film is directed by the guy behind Maleficent 2 and Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Joachim Ronning. Wait, don't panic! Those same writers are no longer involved. Followed, there are still some names. One of them wrote the screenplay for 8 Below with Paul Walker, so not a total disaster. In Pirates, some familiar faces appeared as cameos, so could we expect something similar here? But who do we see here? Yes, those same eyes. I am 100% sure that's Garrett Hedlund as Sam Flynn, not someone else. Besides, I think Rinsler, aka Tron, must return as well. After all, the franchise is named after him, so the aging will be needed. Well, at least there will be some records to break. Also, the cast includes Cameron Monaghan, known from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor. Fans speculate Samantha Quora may have a child, like in Blade Runner 2049. But how? She's literally a program! It's quite possible the film will end in peace between humans and programs, once the latter fail to carry out their plan and agree to inhabit a designated area. That could be a glimpse of the distant future awaiting us. Now, all that's left is to hope the film doesn't end up being... I have spoken.